Good morning, guys. I thought today we would start going over the new series to come on the channel, Casey's Dangerous History, and exactly how I'm going to do that. So earlier this week, I did a video on Sir Sterling Moss that was very cheeky, fun, and real. It's the behind-the-scenes real race car driver talk that people would speak about older race car drivers, how they did it, what it was all about. Because history and racing cars from the past were fast, they were dangerous, they were exciting, and they were amazing. And frankly, that's why historic vehicles and things of the past in history are so exciting and neat. And were so captivating and amazing when they happened. It's because, frankly, they were dangerous. They were pushing the envelope and going beyond. And I think a large reason of why racing today sucks, it's not dangerous. It's PC, it's contrived, and it's controlled for the sake of media exposure and money. So I figured the best thing I could possibly do, given that basically all the amazing vehicular artifacts from history are gone and have been relegated to people's museums or wealthy person's collections, we should just start remaking them, rebuilding the vehicles close to exactly what they were in the past, driving them, racing them, enjoying them with no apologies for how it was, and hanging in there, but doing a great thing. I see some people saying, "What's up? Audi Life, hey, what's up?" Ty Blaze and Robbie Holes, good evening. I'm thinking Robbie, you out in maybe Europe or UK or Africa somewhere, perhaps? Anyway, what's up, guys? But yeah, that's what's going to happen. I want to start building that stuff. And I did a video earlier this week on Sir Sterling Moss. He had passed away, so of course the media is going to be capitalizing on that. And he is still hugely well known to this day, even though his fame and everything he did was back in the 50s. But it's kind of funny because, frankly, it's his lifestyle and everything that went around racing that helped push him to the level of star status he has, the legendary status that you don't see with the stats of racing back then, which had everything to do with his social life. Just everything that went along with that lifestyle. But I just wanted to be really real and talk about, so today in this live video, going to give you guys the opportunity to ask some questions. We've got the super chat thing. You can purchase the opportunity. We can have an exchange right now, technical if you like, but I'd like to go over some of these vehicles and thinking of building and what I'm going to do of the year coming on the Casey's Dangerous History. And, exactly how I'm going to accomplish that, how I'm going to do it quickly. And reasonably safely, even though these things are technically dangerous things from the past, right? So I appreciate you guys talking. A person here says, totally agree, too much PC environmental controls. You're absolutely right, man. And I'll give you an example. There is a very prominent magazine and social feed in the racing world. I'm going to leave it at that. And if you read the feed and watch, especially social media for them, it is the most coattail riding, kiss up PC BS you've ever seen. It's like there's no opinion there. There's no direction about racing's future. It's literally just somebody that sounds like they're trying to ride wealthy people's and corporate coattails. And it's just lame. I mean, that's just killing racing for history. Car guy says, hey, nothing like hearing Casey scream and yell in the morning. I'm not screaming and yelling. I'm projecting. Like your own stage, sir. All life's a stage. Anyway, I appreciate that. And I like what you did with the MR2, somebody says. I appreciate it. Yeah, finishing that up. There's going to be another episode of it actually on Monday. I hope you guys like it. And a little surprise there. So, Casey's Dangerous History. So, we're going to do Casey's 80s Garage is going to continue because I think 80s cars are the current classic cars. I think all of us in modern times, we think that classic cars are just a bunch of boomers like with old-timey music, hanging out at, cruising in their lawn chair with their muscle car. And that's kind of the way it got pigeonholed. But that's not really fair because the word classic just goes across the board to anything that's timeless. And I'm excited because 80s cars are awesome. They got style. They're interesting. They're different. And they're affordable. So that's fantastic because it allows a whole new generation to have fun with cars where the previous generation's cars are untouchable because those previous generations want to own them so badly and have risen to a point of wealth and power that they're not going to let you play with them. It's just the way it is. So I think 80s cars are really awesome. I keep going with that. But the 80s Dangerous Garage thing I'm going to keep going with. Some people have mentioned the Ducati. I appreciate you guys saying, actually, I'm going to finish this Ducati starting next week, take it back to the shop as basically the first episode of Casey's Dangerous History. And we're going to look at bike racing, especially back in the 70s, even today, what it is, why it's so cool, why it is the most underrated motorsports there is. And frankly, road racing motorcycles is the best motorsports period. It's better than watching Formula One. It's better than watching Trans Am. It's literally better watching all those things. And thank goodness stuff like the Isle of Man still exists, where you can run the ragged edge and do something that is so dangerous, difficult, and artistic that it's right there in a thing of beauty. So I really like that. We're going to start there. I see some people talking about 80s cars in the 944. Somebody asked where I got that. Guys, for 80s cars, my favorite place to look is Facebook Marketplace. You got the best deals. You can connect with people easy. And about the only thing that's annoying I've found about Facebook Marketplace is that oftentimes it's difficult to connect with people. Maybe they sell it and they just don't take the time to respond to you back. Or they're so used to idiots on the internet, they think you're a scam, that if you come up, hello, sir, I have genuine interest in your vehicle, and I'd like to talk with you about buying it. May we exchange numbers to talk? And they're like, this is a scam. They just want my number. I'm like, no, I'm a guy. I'm being polite. I want to buy your whatever. And that's kind of the way it is. It looks like you guys are all about MR2s. This person says, do you like whiskey and bourbon? Yes. Yes, I do. I mean, come on. Like I'm talking about starting Casey's Dangerous History. Life. But as with anything, it's in moderation, guys. So anyway, Bring a Trailer tends to be overpriced. 100% agree. I think Bring a Trailer is cool, but I don't even watch it because I have never successfully been able to buy a vehicle from it. And you end up spending a lot of money. They've done a great job for what they've got and done. I think that's been spectacular, but I don't watch Bring a Trailer. So anyway, guys, so the Dangerous History thing coming up. I appreciate your stuff. Your questions, I'll get to them if I can. If you got something you really want to hit me with a super chat, but I'm going to roll into the Casey's Dangerous History thing. So one, it kind of relates to Genius Garage too, because as you guys can see, I've got my personal tools in that building, as well as Genius Garage has their tools and their stuff there. And it's impossible for me to just, okay, there's the Genius Garage place, and then Casey's going to go build something over there. It's not possible for me to build things and work on my own things and do YouTube and stuff. I've got to be in the same place. So I'm just mindful to keep things separate with Genius Garage and my own stuff. And then if Genius Garage needs to borrow any of my tools or stuff, that's cool. Whatever. I did that forever. So it is a tough thing. I think a lot of people out there don't get really what Genius Garage is. 501c3, and I volunteer my time to mentor and teach, so that any donations or support or anything goes to tools and or projects and things, so students have the opportunity to learn and do something, so they don't have to go in debt up to their eyeballs to some stupid college that's supposed to teach restoration when you just go become like an indentured servant to rich people or something like that. I just want young people to have the shot I never had and help launch their careers. Which reminds me, Spencer, if you're watching this, I'm going to write your recommendation letter immediately after this, okay? Sorry, buddy. Yesterday was killing me. But anyway, so Genius Garage is a really neat thing, and I want Genius Garage to have more tools and more things that the students can utilize if they're building cars, building supercars, etc. So this year, as you guys likely know, we're building the Lycan Hypersport, or a Lycan Hypersport, shall we say. And as a note, I'm going to do another VinWiki in a couple weeks, and I've got a bombshell to drop relating to that. So you guys will have to stay tuned for VinWiki. I'll give you an announcement. So a little shout out to Ed there. But so the Hypersport's going really well. The chassis is going nicely and getting it all ready for students. I'm looking forward for this quarantine to be over. I've got a number of students that are slated to come next month. But if we're quarantined, it's going to be a problem. So really hoping that ends. And, we've kind of halted the spread of the COVID right now. But anyway, so I want to get a bunch more tools so that I can build these amazing cars and vehicles that I was talking about for like Casey's Dangerous History, because I think vehicular history has been relegated to museums of wealthy person's collection in like 2 events. It's been gentrified, and we've lost touch because of it. So I really want to bring that back, and the only real way to do that is start building these vehicles again and just driving them, just outside of the confines of those fancy circles. And I think that's going to be really exciting. But to be able to build those things, I've got to have a lot more tools than I do now. Metal forming tools, shears, brakes, hammers, bags, dollies, anvils, English hammers, stuff like this. And so, but by having those things, it's going to allow Genius Garage to also be able to use them to build incredible stuff in the future. So I've been really excited. Maybe you guys have some suggestions and getting some highs. And what's up, people? It's always good to see you. Got somebody here from Maine, Jerk of All Trades. I love the name. Got a Philip. Got a hello, Martin from the UK. Hey, how you doing? That's getting a little late there, I think. Do you have a day job outside of Genius Garage? Honestly, man, I work there all the time, and I work on my own things to maybe if I sell it and make a little bit of money and keep going, or the little bit of money I make off of YouTube or having a good sponsor, allows me to keep going and focus on Genius Garage. So no, I don't have some sort of job anywhere else. That would be completely impossible. Like all my time goes to that shop, guys. And just making the videos and editing them is a huge amount of time. I mean, you know, YouTube and doing this with you all is effectively a full-time job that I've got to set on top of another full-time job, which is Genius Garage, and then set on top of another full-time job, which is me trying to make a living. But it's going well, and it just comes down to basic business and project management and projections and business planning and such. So it goes all right. And where there is a will, there's a way. Hey, Calvin from Germany, Fee Gates. So Casey Danger's history. So we're going to start getting this, informing him. The video I did yesterday got a couple of shears in. That's really exciting. That's going to be helpful in the Lycan build because there's quite a bit of steel work actually that has to be done with that chassis and fabrication relating to the Porsche mechanicals. And they're just wonderful. And I did a little demonstration on the shear, and I had a sandbag that was ballast from an airplane, and I started using a ball peen hammer to shape a compound curve and make like tiny little bicycle type fenders like you'd see on old timey cars. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Got a hello from Poland. And it's 3 in the UK. Oh, that's not bad. Oh, cool. All right. Well, it's good to see you guys there. Oh, 5 here in Kuwait. How are you, sir? Very cool. Sehr gut. Sprichst du Fleisch Deutsch? It's nice to see you. Calvin, I think you're going to like it. Next year, Silver Arrows builds. Yes. So I have to say, can I just say this right now? The thing that disappoints me the most when I look at great history through Europe of the 20th century, and then I start seeing things like the Silver Arrows car, how cool those things are, and just how amazing history was in Germany and Bavaria and Austria, and then it got spoiled in the mid 20th century, and we're just not even going to say it. But I'm looking forward to building some of those cars, when I get to doing the really amazing German cars from the 30s, because they're doing like 250 miles an hour at Avis back in the 30s, right? That's insane. But I think that time in history for, the German people got ruined by certain politicians. And I think the moral of this story is politicians ruin everything good, don't they? So anyway, I look forward to show positive history for people. And Autumn, oh gosh, I'm going to pronounce this right. Forgive me. Kylene, I see you guys out there. Do you have a Patreon? Not yet. I want to make sure that I have the right things to offer in a Patreon or membership first for everybody before I launch it. It wouldn't be right of me to go out there and ask for money unless I specifically am giving you guys valuable things. So it takes me a while to start building stuff like that because I'm so busy getting things ready for Genius Garage and doing builds. But thank you for asking me. I think that's going to come. Or if you guys like, and I'm asking you right now, and I hope you respond because you guys are all here, and I'm really happy to have you. Ooh, Australia. Yes. Ryan, what's up down under? Do you like the Aussie Man down there? The Aussie Man reviews? Because I do. I just got to ask you that. Anyway, Patreon, memberships, etc. Would you guys like to have a membership type thing on this channel to where you can pay something modest, and then it's a smaller group, and then I can do live feeds with you guys, the behind the scenes stuff, showing how to do cool little things, or having a little bit more real talks that maybe I wouldn't get to do with the normal videos. Would that be interesting to you? So I appreciate you asking, Autumn. I really do. Thank you. It's coming, and it just means a lot. You guys are here and being part of this and supporting, and it's exciting to connect to you all around the world right now, really. And this person writes, Casey, I need a Genius Garage sticker for my toolbox or banner for my garage. I appreciate you saying that. If you go to, Redbubble and search Genius Garage, I think that's on there. You can get it. Or Casey Putsch, Genius Garage, Redbubble. God, I can't talk. Redbubble. Check it out. But I really appreciate that. That'd be cool. And this person likes Patreon. Yes, small group would be cool. I look forward to get that going. Ooh, from the middle of the Atlantic. It's 3:16 p.m. local. Hey, what kind of boat you on, man? Or ship? Please tell me it's something sweet like a square rigger and you're like off watch. You're probably not. You got a big container ship or something? Are you in the Navy? Talk to me, Nano Reaper. Okay, guys. So was on the Mercedes. Oh, yeah, the older Mercedes are great from the 30s. By the way, the first video I watched on your Mercedes brake failure. Yeah, it was funny, dude. It's kind of funny, especially that I'm thinking of next year building the Silver Arrows cars, which were the most mythological, over-the-top, incredible Mercedes and Auto Union, which ended up becoming Audi, of course, cars in history. And that in recent times, I have such abysmal failure luck from Mercedes and dealerships. So I can promise you when I build those, I'm going to be... There's going to be some comedy occurring from that. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble. So anyway, Casey's Dangerous History. Let's talk about this, guys. Some of the vehicles that I've got on the short list to build. So the Ducati, it's going to go to the shop. We're going to finish that up to kick off this series. It's going to be really beautiful. We're going to drive it. As you guys might be able to say, it has wide open megaphones. So that thing is going to sound raucous at full chant. It's going to be awesome. So beyond that, that Auburn, you guys maybe have seen, that's the cool old chassis with the white tires and the radiator and hood on it up on the lift in Genius Garage in the corner. Have you guys seen that up there? Well, it's an amazing car. It's a 1917 chassis, and believe it or not, those are wooden spokes in the wheels. Yeah, it goes so far back in automotive history. It's like wagon wheels, right? Well, the wheels, the old wheels, are junk, okay? They just were. I mean, way back in the day, if your wooden wheels would get loose on a wagon or your early car, you just drive it through a stream and let it sit there for a minute and soak up, and it'd kind of tighten up. I mean, that's life. But that stuff doesn't last. So I got with Coker tire and wheels, which actually remade the wheels remade the wood part of the wheels. And then I had to restore like the snap together rims and get the tires on, everything like that. So it's just the way it was way back when. But the cool thing of that Auburn up there, and that's going to be the second car in Casey's Dangerous History builds, it was literally a chassis and suspension sitting rusting in a guy's barn, actually over in Indiana, close to where those cars were made. And he knew that it wouldn't be cost effective or make any sense to try to restore or build that crap into a stock car, and found me of like, can you build a period correct race car? And I can. And the gentleman's been incredibly patient with me, and I appreciate it, because the difficult thing about coach building nowadays, and I think you guys will see this, maybe you'll know, coach building takes a heck of a lot of time and a heck of a lot of artist mindset to do. It's not just something you follow the instructions and do. You're gonna have helpers, and the difficult thing with that is nowadays time is so valuable, not necessarily like the old days, although I think we're coming to a new point with our economy, and time is going to be a little bit of a different thing, which could be good for coach building. But and being an artist is a tricky thing. I'm definitely an artist and finicky. And like when I'm ready to do art, I'm ready to do art and just knock it out. And when I'm not ready to do art, it's not happening. And so unfortunately, that car has sat for a lot, but I'm looking forward and gearing up to doing it. And now I'm going to have even better tools to do it. So I hope you guys are excited, long story short, that the Auburn up there, the chassis is done. The suspension looks nice. The wheels and tires are done. There is a rebuilt, I hope it's okay, engine and transmission sitting in there. So generally speaking, what we're going to do with this Auburn is starting where a coach builder would have back in the 19-teens. And it's going to go quickly. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun, and hopefully we're going to adventure with it through the remainder of this year. And I know the owner's going to really enjoy it, and he's been very patient, very kind. So I hope he enjoys that well. So shout out to him. But let's move on. This person's like, you're an artiste. Yeah, only an artist would be this outspoken to have this big of an opinion to not ride coattails, because I don't care. Or I'm a lunatic. Ballarat, Australia, make wheels for cars. Okay, what kind of wheels, man? Oh, there's a 458 Italia project sitting in the San Francisco Bay. Google Craigslist. This person writes, "You're no artist." Dave, wait a minute. Dave, I recognize your picture. You guy there. Oh, wait, okay, hold on. Okay, I'm no artist, huh? Hang on. You want classic artists? Okay, so one thing I find kind of fun, you guys, with doing art is if I actually do something like painting or drawing, it's kind of fun to limit yourself. So sometimes when I paint, I limit myself to only use primary colors, like medium red, blue, yellow, and then black and white. That's it. Because you should be able to make any colors you want out of it. So sometimes I don't really do like two-dimensional art anymore, just because I like building cars and doing stuff. But sometimes it's fun to see what you can do with basically nothing. So here's one I did with just black and white, and I had like a dash of yellow. I don't know if you guys will like it. This is a while ago. I wanted to do a kind of recreate that moment that I couldn't take a picture of on a square rigger on the Atlantic at night. It's just kind of fun. I don't know. But, art is so far across the board. It's just creating neat things. And it doesn't matter if that's like classical painting or drawing or sculpting and building cars and motorcycles and things like that too. That being said, there's plenty of idiots out there that's like, that's art. No, it's not. That's just an idiot building some ugly garbage. So anyway, yeah, I appreciate it. So let's go into the Casey's Dangerous History. I am getting very excited about this. I got another good talk. This person writes, I don't think most of your followers need something tangible to support you on Patreon. Maybe best to say BTS to live streams, polls, or order of builds. That could be good. I appreciate you writing that, Autumn. We'll try, but I appreciate you saying that, but it seems wrong to go out and just ask for money. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind doing that and supporting Genius Garage because that's a valuable thing that we do as a community together. It's a 501c3 and it's actually doing something tangible. And also, I don't, on that note too, in terms of like core values, if I have a sponsor and I tell you I like the stuff, that's because I actually do and it works. There are plenty of sponsors and companies out there that I would not have on my channel. I would rather have less money and my own core values and honesty than more money and no core values and less honesty. So just saying that, guys, just to kind of what's going on. So, and on that note, Avalon King actually works. You guys should try it. So anyway, getting after the Auburn. So the first car I'm really excited to do, if you guys maybe the Lancia Stratos Zero prototype. Not the Lancia Stratos rally cars you all know of fame, but what was before that, which is the very wedge-like car where the windshield opens up and you lay down inside it. It's insane. The original one is in a absurd, uber-wealthy museum, which shall remain nameless, doing nothing, and occasionally goes to a concours and fancy people stand around on a lawn and think they're important for being around the art. And then there's a couple of replicas that came from props from the Michael Jackson's Moonwalker video in the 1980s that some people got. Actually, I missed out on getting when I was in college. I could have bought it for like 17 grand the body, but I didn't have the money, couldn't sell my car fast enough to do it. And I didn't have the tools and stuff to build it. But so those people got it and restored it, and they've kind of vanished into the woodwork again. But I'm planning on replicating the Stratos Zero car, and I'm going to do it with a Porsche drivetrain because a Porsche drivetrain is mid-engine like that car was. Because it's a flat or horizontally opposed engine configuration, it's very low. So that's something I'm getting very excited to building. Also, I think that's a great place for me to kind of start. There's the Auburn building. There's the Ducati. I did some basic coach building we'll talk about, like metal work. Then the Auburn is going to be kind of the next step of basic coach work. And then the Stratos Zero, it's primarily simple curves with just the tiniest bit of a compound curve to it for an English wheel. So as long as you take your time in doing it right, it'll be relatively easy to get that car spot on as a replica. And I think I'm going to do the Stratos Zero in steel, actually, instead of aluminum, because it's very easy to weld. And it'll be strong. Lots of the chassis I'm utilizing is steel, so it'll be easy to weld and create and make really nice. I'm not overly concerned about weight on that. It's still going to be very lightweight and very fast, but it's more of a functioning design art piece than it is building a race car. So then after that, then I'm going to transition to start doing a little more compound curve type things from the 30s through the 50s in aluminum. So I think that's going to be really exciting, and I look forward to learn this with you guys because somebody, oh, I think we got something good going on. Maybe this is the guy from the Atlantic Ocean. Somebody's on a container ship. Wait. But my boy Casey is live, says that wolf. All right, anyway, so let's go back to it. Doing the Stratos Zero in steel. It's going to be really beautiful, really easy to execute. There's just going to have to be some cleverness. But the reason I'm choosing to do these builds in the order I am is because I want you all out there to be inspired to build things yourself. And for young people or old people, it doesn't matter. Building things and creating things is so much easier than the world is making everybody think it is. And you might be thinking, well, Casey, you're really talented, or there's really talented people out there, and I've never done anything. Well, so there's a time in life where I never did anything. You just got to get doing it. So what I mean to say is by me doing the Casey Dangerous history thing in this order, I think it's going to be the best way for everybody to get inspired to see how they can do something simple and start working up to bigger and better things. And if your facility or your tools or your budget don't suit what I'm doing at any given time, that doesn't mean you can't scale it down and make some sort of awesome model or a go-kart or a toy or anything like that. So there's great ways for everybody with cars to strive to have a really neat car or build something or modify it, even if you don't have huge means. And, you know, you can go. And that's the fun of life's journey, right? So when I was younger, I had older 80s cars. They weren't classic yet. They were just old and they were cheap, you know, like a container ship dude answer. Dude answer. This is hilarious. I love this. There's people from all around the world. How many continents right now that isn't the North America right now are you guys watching from? Or how many oceans? If you're on an ocean or you're on another continent, or somewhere other than the United States, tell me where you're at. Let's say hey to you guys right now. I think this is so cool. We're all together. But I'm doing that because I want you guys to see how to be inspired to build amazing things. Now, the other thing is, it's exciting to bring back, let's be honest about history being dangerous. Cars and motorcycles and things like that were dangerous back then. Flying airplanes is dangerous. The culture we live in today is so risk adverse and afraid of everything that we can't even talk about it, even though it exists. And because of that, we kind of paint ourselves in a corner where it's no longer okay for there to be a risk, even if it's a calculated, intelligent risk. Okay, we got to say hi to everybody and come right back to this. This is awesome. We got Europe. This guy's in the UK. Hey, from the Netherlands. Love your country, man. By the way, the Netherlands. Okay, so Dutch, you know, Amsterdam, etc. I thought this was so funny. Dutch guy I knew said he came into the United States and he's down south, right? And his passport said he was from the Netherlands. And the person in the U.S. at the passports, I'm not digging on the U.S., it's just the person didn't read it well. And he looked at the passport and said the Netherlands. And he goes, "You're from Neverland?" I'm like, this is great. This is why I think international stuff is so fun. We've got Malaysia, Poland, hi from Italy, Australia, Texas. Texas isn't a country for the win. You with your Texasness. Belgium, Lithuania. This is awesome, you guys. Philippines. Germany, Stuttgart, represent. This is so much fun. Italy, awesome, guys. Awesome to see you. And Christian here writes, he's 18 and was planning to build an MG Midget vintage track day car. Any tips on setup? Big fan from England. Well, what's up, man? All right, so here, now I have to look at the market in England and the UK to see if I'm right. But here's the first tip. If you're going to do a vintage race car, buy something that's already kind of a race car or race car. Oftentimes with a production-based race car, it's easier to take one, if it isn't like an insane build, and make it streetable. It's easier and cheaper to make a modified car that's a race car streetable and more livable than it is to take a street car and make it a race car. Just saying. Because if you get a street car, let's say it's really nice, you still got to, you're beefing up all kinds of engine internals to spin it to the moon and camshafts and all kinds. I mean, that costs money and time real quick. So that's a tip of mine. Or maybe you can find somebody that was building one and they spent a lot of money on it and they stalled out in the project and then they have to sell it cheaper. That's a really good way to get yourself ahead. And then you can finish it and tailor it to exactly what you need to be and modify it without necessarily spending all the money. So that's my first best tip I can tell you. Beyond that, I think that's awesome. You're thinking about building a vintage track day car. Doesn't matter if it's new or old, it's still an awesome race car. And keep in mind, you guys, my first road racing car was a 1957 Devon that was built on a Triumph TR2 chassis and had a TR3 engine in it. It had lever dampeners from the old days, no sway bars, Dunlop bias ply tire, and knockoff wheels. And I loved it, and I drove the heck out of it. And it's not some supercar or some crazy aerodynamic formula car, but that was my first race car that I owned and raced. And I'd like to say that I'm a pretty good driver these days, and I've driven some really crazy stuff. So that's really awesome, Christian. I wish you a lot of luck, and hit me up with questions more if you got them. But going back to Casey's history in the build, but I do want to say hello to Ireland, Portugal. This guy's 20 minutes in late. He says, okay, you can watch it later, man. See who, Czech Republic. This is awesome. Long Island, New York. That's not a country. Well, it kind of is. Long Island. Sweet watch. The hell it's not. Is that Texas saying the hell Texas isn't a country? It kind of is a country. Actually, I may be wrong. I need you Texas people right now to, well, let's educate the world here together. So apparently, and this is one of the reasons why I love Texas, except Austin apparently is kind of weird, I guess. So Texas apparently has some sort of clause in their state documents that said at any given time, they can bring up for a vote if Texas wants to secede from the United States and form their own country. I'm not entirely sure. Texas, tell me if that's true. Can you guys just like anytime vote to become your own country? Let's, okay. I can't imagine what the rest of the world is going to think about. Brandon Hoffer says that's true about Texas, the Republic of Texas. Oh man. So yeah, guys. So for everybody watching and the rest, we'll come back to the car builds, but this is kind of fun talking about international things in the United States, because the United States is a gloriously ridiculous place. And I say ridiculous in the nicest way possible because in a matter of speaking, all these different states are in a way their own little countries. And some are as big or bigger than many countries in Europe and elsewhere. Texas definitely has its own special culture. So does New York, or at least close to like New York City and many little cultures in it. It's kind of like New Amsterdam, you know what I mean? And then California is also its own culture, hugely. It's got beautiful geography, natural resources, so many wonderful things, and it's got its own culture. Sometimes I don't even think they know what's going on out there. But yeah, so United States is kind of like all its own countries there. It's fascinating place. So okay, let's move on from the ridiculous. But hello to all you guys somewhere else. All right, so I want to inspire you guys to build stuff and keep going with the Casey's Dangerous History thing. It's not all about being out there a loon and like trying not to kill myself, you know. But I want to show you guys how cool things are that happened in the past. Because the last, I'd say 30, 40 years of the computer age, we have effectively forgotten to look back and learn from the past. And we think everything is built in a computer. You don't have to think, it's like the whole mindset of the world in education has changed to where we're not learning from history. And that's especially bad for, I think, designers and engineers, because so many absolutely astonishingly intelligent things were designed and created and built, especially, my God, in like the 1920s and 30s, 40s, 50s. You guys, the dawn of the jet age. I mean, there were race cars doing over 250 miles an hour in the late 1930s in Germany. And like, we're sitting around thinking a Bugatti Veyron's cool, or like some trust fund babies driving a spec series IndyCar race that it like they have to limit it and they're going down at 200 miles an hour is cool. Come on. Like, it's so much cooler what happened back then. And I want to bring that back and share that with you guys in the experience. And when we build the cars, actually take them to tracks, drive them hard. Like, why not take a Silver Arrows car and go up to, I think it's Grattan, where there's a place where you can catch air like the old Nürburgring? Yeah, gonna do it. So it's gonna be a lot of fun, and I want to keep going. But beyond the Strato Zero, I'm hell-bent for leather on building that because I think it's just awesome. But beyond that, the cars that we build, I think we can choose on what to do this together. I think you guys have heard me talk about the Silver Arrows cars. I think there's lots of fun that can happen with those. The Mercedes V12 front engine cars in the late 30s, and then the Auto Union V12 and V16 mid-engine cars. Both of those are great to reproduce. I think the Mercedes especially, because you can body it as a Grand Prix car and race it like that, or you can then build another body for it and build it as the streamlined record-setting car. And I think that's just going to be super cool. Also, I think it would be neat to take an enormous, I got to read this, you guys. An enormous part of Texas would love to secede, Casey. Wait a minute. You want to secede me, like unsubscribe, or you want to like secede from the union? I know that. Shh, Shelby, we know. Like, so it's, are you sure you want to secede from the United States? Are you sure you Texans just want to secede from California? Like, let's be honest, okay? Which one is it? Is Texas and California kind of like the English and the French quite some time ago? I feel a little bit like that's the case. Oh man, somebody writes, this is true. Shelby Avanton, enormous part of Texas, would love to see you. Well, yeah, you. Oh God, greetings from Belgium. Love the content. Keep it up. What's up, Belgium? Can you see it's already getting silly here in the United States today? But that's great. All right, let's go back to these cool cars we're going to build. So the Silver Arrows cars are neat, and the reason I think building them is something that's attainable is, no, I'm not going to like recast all the parts and make it exactly the way it was back when. That'd be insane. It'd take me the next 10 years to get nothing done and be a weird little hermit, hardly prove anything. But here's the cool thing. So the bodies were aluminum, they're hand beat. We can make that exactly the same way. I can have the same tires and wheels made. I can do virtually the same suspension, because over the last 100 years, there's been loads of cars all around the world that have been junk that have very similar type suspensions. And where it's a bit different, I can just fabricate that stuff. So, you know, in terms of the V12 engine, Mercedes had great V12 engines in the 90s. You can buy for a song out of an American scrapyard, and you take off the intake, you redo all that. It's got distributors on it. If I have to have a little, if they don't have a mechanical advance on those distributors, no big deal. We'll just have a little computer controlled so I can change the ignition timing. And then we carburate it, run a root supercharger, just like back in the old days. And you have a Mercedes V12 carbureted root supercharger. And if you want run it on alcohol, no big deal. That'll help it cool if it's got a tiny radiator, because back in the old day, they ran some crazy fuels. But I would like to run it on gasoline if possible, just to make my life easier. And alcohol brings its own share of difficulties, both if you imbibe too much or your car imbibes too much. So that's a really fun place to go. But we're going to bring that out. But what I want to do beyond that is, so I've got some dreams from history that I want to build. You know, the Silver Arrows car, the Lancia Strato Zero, Chaparrals. So let's go into Chaparrals, because I don't think that's going to be on my short list to rebuild, but I'm going to remake some Chaparrals because I've studied those cars like crazy and I know how to do it. Let's see. Yeah, the V12 using the Zonda. Yeah, man. Same block and heads. I swear to you. The Silver Arrows cars I'm going to do, it's going to be a Zonda engine, basically. I appreciate you guys knowing that. You guys are right on. Somebody's rising Rolls-Royce fan car. We could do an old Rose, something really cool. Yeah, awesome. All right, please. This person writes, I want to secede from humanity. No, you don't. Come on, man. Let's build stuff together and have fun. It's all right. People suck. I know they've been suck. I've been taking cannon fire and literal and metaphorical punches my whole life. But it's all right. We'll get this together, man. We'll build stuff for the future. It'll be cool. Anyway, so Chaparrals. Those could be fun to replicate. The trouble with a lot of the Chaparrals, like the 2A, it had a composite chassis, which was fiberglass, and a composite body. The reason I'm excited about doing metal forming and metalworking versus composites, and this is where you guys need to listen up, especially young people who are interested in racing. Please listen to this right now. Fiberglass bodies, carbon fiber bodies versus the old school way of panel beating and aluminum. Nowadays, everybody says, like, oh, the Conco world, oh, vintage racing, oh, panel beating is a lost art. It's so impossible. It's so difficult. There's only 2 people who can do it. And if we have a panel beat car from William and Pritchard or something, it's worth a fortune, and we'd like to take it to a golf course lawn. Yeah, okay, I'm being a smarmy jerk. But the truth of the matter is, if you're half decent at beating panels of steel and aluminum, I can form a body, if I want to prototype something, faster than you can make a buck, smooth it, make female molds for fiberglass, and then pop one out. I can also do it cheaper. So for what I want to do for personal usage, if I'm just going to make 1 or 2 cars, it's better to make it bang, 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 bang out of metal or aluminum than it is to make molds of something you don't know if you'll ever use. You know where all the fiberglass molds I have are and how often they get used? Basically never. They sit around taking space up and collecting dust. So I just want to tell you guys that, because you can build unbelievably beautiful and effective race cars and things out of metal and aluminum. And if you're only going to build 1 or 2, this is something you guys should learn, the metal forming and panel building, to build your own cars. You can build fender flares, or you can rebody street cars. It doesn't matter. So I just want to tell you guys that, because there's so much great value to metal forming and coach building right now for all you guys, whether you're fixing up an 80s car and you want to make it cooler, or building something from old, where fiberglass isn't that way. But I've gone way tangent. So you guys are second on the blower Bentley. Yeah, I would like to do that. I think I'd probably use a late 40s or early 50s Bentley Mark VI and then make a 1920 one. But if and when I do build a Bentley, that's not going to be my track car. That's going to be my rough and tumble cross-country off-road car. So like my vision, if and when I build a 20s Bentley, is I heard there's a way you can pretty much like 80 to 90% drive from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean in and around America and Canada and just drive off-road and fire roads, or at least for a motorcycle you can. So my vision for Bentley would be to go off in the wilderness and fire roads and stuff and just trek long journey and have everything I need with me, from camping or fishing, hunting, whatever, and just go old school man in like a 1920s Bentley and rock across. I think that would be really great. Yeah, Chaparral's, Texas. Yes, true. Jim Hall, oil money. He's got his own place. I've actually been to Rattlesnake Raceway, and I've seen what Jim Hall has stashed away in there. Should I tell you guys? Do you guys want to know what Jim Hall secretly has in there? I might take him off, but he probably doesn't care. Come on. If all you want to know what's hidden away at Jim Hall's old shed, I'll tell you. Okay. But anyway, so Chaparral's, like the 2A, has a fiberglass chassis, monocoque chassis, which is really interesting because that was 20 years before Ferrari had composite monocoque chassis in Formula One. So Texas, Chaparral's were beating Formula One way back in the 60s. So it's brilliant what they were doing. And I'd love to replicate the Chaparral 2A. That was the one that had the 2-speed manual transaxle with the torque converter and no clutch. Tire technology sucked back then, so you didn't really need all the gears, and that's how they did it. Had the zoomy headers, really cool and evocative looking. But I've been thinking about it. Honestly, it'd be easier just to make a replica of that body out of aluminum than it would be to make the molds out of fiberglass. You'd still have to vacuum form the windshield because it's got compound curves and stuff in it. And the monocoque chassis, of course, is fiberglass. But if you just wanted something to look just like that in a cool vintage race car, you could do it out of aluminum. But I can tell you that the Chaparral 2A and the 2D were both the fiberglass monocoque chassis, and they just rebodied them. The Chaparral 2E with the stilt wing, the 2G with the stilt wing and the big block, and the 2C, and then the other ones. Those were aluminum. I don't remember if the 2F was aluminum or it was a composite structure, but it'd be fun to do the Chaparrals, but I'm kind of digressing. Okay, you guys want to know what Jim Hall's got in his thing. All right, guys. Well, collecting dust and rotting for probably the last 50 years is the Chevrolet GS2 prototype, the early mid-engine prototype with the zoomy headers. It's awesome, and it's just sitting there collecting dust under a sheet. It's under like 3 inches of dust. Was a Gullwing Mercedes that was his. He's got the Chaparral 2E continuation car, and apparently they were going to build like continuations of Chaparral 2E, and they built like the second one, and then some buffoon drove it through a chain link fence, and Jim Hall got all freaked out and then just axed it, and they cut that one up allegedly. Stopped making the continuation cars, so the only Chaparral continuation car is just sitting there collecting dust. It's such a shame. Like, I wish Jim Hall was cool. I don't know, maybe he is. But I wouldn't think he'd care, because I really think Jim Hall should do Genius Garage with me, of like all people in the automotive world, being an engineer and doing such amazing things. That would be like my one little wish. If I could get one little wish granted today, it would be like Jim Hall would call me and be like, "Casey, I really like what you're doing with Genius Garage. We should forward young engineers." And you're right. All these people collecting cars are just a bunch of rich people doing nothing. Like, let's do something great for the future. That'd be my kind of little wish. Okay, I'll tell you more about what Jim Hall's got. He's got all his old trophies from way back when. He's got his little Grand Prix car. I think it's a Lotus collecting dust that he raced in a few Grand Prix stuff in the early 60s. And here's where it gets really good. He's got an Indy car from, I don't think it was his own chassis. It was from like the 90s, one of those cars. But get this. I can't even remember which one it is. He's got an all-original Spad. Or is it a Camel or a Spad? I think it's a Spad. He's got an all-original Spad World War I biplane just sitting there collecting dust. I think the wings are off. I can't remember. No joke. World War I biplane. So great. I mean, how cool is that? It'd be so great to teach with. It's kind of a shame. I don't know what's going on with Jim Hall. I wish it's such a shame, you guys, because all around the United States and world, there's so many amazing people. I'll give you another example. Bob McKee built the McKee Formula 5000 cars, the helmet turbine, the Can-Am cars, and I raced a car of his one day. Such a neat guy. Lives over in the Chicago area, and he would make such an amazing teacher. But the problem is, for like Jim Hall and like Bob McKee and all these old cool guys from racing history, all racing history has just become wealthy people's playthings. That's what the whole racing history has become: wealthy people's playthings and pride things in museums and car collections. And I just wish these people, we could somehow connect them to teach. That's what I wanted to do with Genius Garage all along. And then I found out all vintage racing is just it's just become wealthy persons collecting things, and they don't give a crap. So I just wish I could connect these amazing people through Genius Garage and build stuff with young people. I mean, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be cool? I think it would be. I think Bob McKee would like to do that. Something tells, I feel like Jim Hall would like to do that too, but who knows? He's probably over it. Maybe that was just a time in his life way back when. Curious what you guys think. Chaparral 2J with the fans would be cool. I don't know if I'm going to do that, because it's a lot of complexity. It's cool, but I don't know. I think there's some actually cooler cars in history. That one's kind of, it's neat, but it doesn't tickle the fancy the same way. But some other cars that would be neat to recreate, or just way back when, they're really cool. Oh, Jaguar Xj220. That's a cool car. It says his granddad designed the chassis on it. This person here. That's really neat. That was a really cool car. It's a shame that when it came out, all the fancy people wanted it to be V12 rather than twin turbo V6, and that kind of hurt it. But I would love to own one of those someday. And looks like now everybody wants the 2J fan car. You guys, I would probably make the Chaparral 2E or the 2A or the 2D that won Nürburgring first. I don't know. They're a little prettier. They're a little more fun. And I don't know where on earth I would find the cooling fans for whatever tank he took those off of. Snowmobile engine, that's relatively easy. It's not, I mean, and the 2J is mostly like an engineering exercise, because it's not pretty. You know what I mean? It's just like slab-sided polycarbonate skirts and like aluminum monocoque chassis, and it's not. It would just be doing it. I don't know. Maybe someday. But actually, instead of doing like a replica of one of the Chaparrals, you know what would actually be cooler? You guys are talking about Bob McKee showing up frequently at Cars and Coffee for ceremony. Oh, that's neat. Yeah, he's got a good story. And he's always at Road America, the vintage races where I met him. But I think before I would mess around with replicating a Chaparral or something, I shouldn't say too much, but I've talked to Bob McKee in the past. He's really nice. Bob's still got the blueprints for his old chassis. He still remembers how to make them all. And there's molds out there floating around with nice people. So perhaps something to do with Genius Garage next year would be to team up with Bob McKee and some of the McKee enthusiasts out there that run them, because I'll bet you guys a nickel. That's like an old person way to say it, right? I'll bet you a nickel that they would be supportive and of collaborating with Genius Garage so that students could basically go back in time and build a Can-Am car, a Can-Am McKee, just the way it would have been done back then. I think that'd be really neat. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it'd be cool to team up with Bob McKee and the McKee enthusiasts for a Genius Garage to build a Can-Am car next year? Would that be cool? It takes some effort. And actually, it takes a little bit of money, too, because transaxles and racing small block Chevys do start adding up a little bit. But talk to me, you guys. Talk to me. So that's kind of what's going on. Just really neat stuff. And this is where I want to venture with this all. And the other thing cool with Casey's Dangerous History, it doesn't have to all be the vehicles that I build. So every so often, if I go on an adventure, like go fly in a Navy M3N biplane yellow Peril, that's a great episode for it to just showcase rough and tumble cool history back then. Or, I don't know, you go on some crazy ship, a square rigger ship, or you go flying, or perhaps I'll get the opportunity to drive a Can-Am car. I can think of a couple of people might let me have a few laps for the sake of showing you guys what that was like from the days of racing lore. Yes. Oh man, that would be good. I hope you guys are going to enjoy that, but that's really where I want to go with it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And for you guys that are late, this will be available later, of course, online rather than just live. So that's where I'm going with that, with Casey's Dangerous History. I just want to bring history to you all so we can experience it with no BS, no PC garbage. Just look at it, read between the lines, know the real stories, connect the older people who can really teach and inspire. I want to bring these techniques that idiots are relegating to the past to you guys so you can utilize them. Maybe you'll be inspired to modify or build your own cars and do art, or maybe you think of something really cool to do for the future. And that's really what I want to do with it. So it'll be rough and tumble and exciting and scary and fun, but I think it's going to be really educational too. So that's what I'm going to do with that. And if you guys think of any really great cars from history that can be replicated relatively cost effectively, because obviously there's a lot of things that take idiotic sums of time and or money to create. Maybe we'll save those for some other day if I ever get bigger. But in the meantime, there are lots of amazing things we can all build together that maybe aren't that expensive. And on that note, I want to tell you guys, how many of you guys out there think Grand Prix racing cars from the 40s or 50s are cool? You know what I'm talking about? They look like cigars, open cockpit, no wings. Here, I'll show you some pictures in case it's not striking any memories. So like, you know, van walls and, okay, hold on, there's Mercedes. Come on, give me some. Yeah, like this, you guys. How many of you people think Grand Prix cars like this are cool, like Maserati 250Fs and Coopers and stuff? You guys into that stuff? Check this out. Now, I'm going to make a bunch of European history people mad right now. But, okay, so you guys like it. Check it out. I'm going to show you I'm going to tell you right now how you can build something just like it, very cheap, if you just learn some metal forming. So, if you get yourself the right hammers and bags and stuff and or English wheel, and you can generally form some metal, whether it's thin steel or aluminum. Okay, you can do the body. That's pretty easily. Out there's loads of three-dimensional models that you can get of those cars, where then you can print out big printouts to make yourself a buck mold or that. Or you just take a lot of pictures and you can figure that out too. Okay, so now that's how you make the bodies. Let's break the car down. A lot of those cars from the 40s and 50s had a solid front axle. Some of them, like a T-bucket, okay? Some of them had trailing link suspension. I kid you not, which is like a Volkswagen Beetle or a Porsche 356. The Auto Union cars from the 30s, those big nasty things, they had similar trailing suspension. That's where that history came from. And then the rears, they typically had D-Dion rear suspension, where the differential and or transaxle was in the middle and it had half shafts, and then D-Dion suspension could rotate and articulate. Okay, so let's just put it this way. If you break down a Grand Prix car and you want to build something just like it, you can make the body, then you can call it Dayton wire wheel or Coker tire and wheel and make some wire wheels and get period correct tires with a knockoff spline drive attachment that will bolt onto, say, like a Chevy 5x4.5 bolt pattern or others. So here's where I'm going with it. Those chassis are relatively simple and tubular frames. So if you guys are thinking, like, let me put it this way. You could go to Speedway Motors after this. I'm just telling you guys how to do it. Okay, Speedway Motors. It's like old school American hot rod building, circle track racing. A lot of that stuff is pretty similar to what Grand Prix racing was, okay? In fact, there were some guys back in like the 50s that took American like IndyCar circle track stuff over to Europe to race over there occasionally. So if you get like a T-bucket frame with a solid rear axle with kind of like, you know, old-timey suspension with leaf springs, and it's got two rails, you're already a long way the way there. So theoretically, if you got one of those and you put on like Buick aluminum fin drum brakes on the whole thing. All right, now you got drum brakes similar to the time period. Okay, then you call up Dayton wire wheels or Coker tire wheels. You get yourself some wire wheels made that are properly period correct. I don't know if they're like 16 or 17 inch. Maybe they're like 5 inches wide, right? You get the knockoff adapter, so you bolt it onto the Chevy bolt pattern. So you got the proper knockoffs, proper wheels. You get like historic Dunlop or Avon or Excelsior racing tires on it. So now you get the proper wheels and tires. You got a similar chassis, similar suspension, and you got aluminum fin brake drums. So then you got to figure out, let's go with the drivetrain, okay? So let's say you want to make a Maserati 250F. Okay, well, you could put in anything you want and make similar power to it. Maybe a 4-cylinder, maybe a 6-cylinder, your choice. But if you want to keep it Italian, there's a bunch of good Alfa motors out there you could get. You get like a Busso V6 from the 80s. You could put in something 4-cylinder if you want, an older, like a 2-liter Alfa engine, the twin cam over. Or you could get really psychotic, like I would want to. And for like $2 or $3 grand, you can buy the Maserati V8 engines that are in like the 2000s Maseratis that depreciate like crazy and get scrapped. And then if you simply do like standalone management on it, and you adapt it to a manual transmission, you got a Maserati V8 engine in this thing. It's going to haul the mail, man. And then you can make a custom drive shaft, and then the rest of it you can custom make. So if you want to make the rest of your chassis real strong, you can take your rails, build it off of that, and you can go square tube frame if you want, or you can go round and build it off there, build your ladder frame, make it all nice, put everything in there. You're looking at the drawings, so you make sure that, you know, like your drivetrain fits, everything fits within where the body should be. And, you know, the rest of it's just coach building. I mean, my God, the seats back then, you guys, are just like aluminum with foam and upholstery. You take any motorcycle shop that does a seat and they can upholster that. And you make yourself a cool car. So instead of maybe just building a T-bucket in the future or an American hot rod that's been done, you can use all the same basic stuff. You just get a little more exotic. You make your own body. Or maybe if you want to do fiberglass, that's your thing. But, you know, learn the metal forming. And you can make yourself a 1950s Grand Prix car. Something pretty darn close. It'll give you the same experience and a lot of fun. There you go, guys. Boom. I just gave you the directions on how to go out and build your own cool 40s or 50s-esque Grand Prix racing car. And you can apply that same mentality whether you want to build a Van Wall or a Cooper or a Maserati. It doesn't matter. And then just choose the components and stuff to reflect the style and the personality of the time. Find yourself but if you're going to make something like that, don't make something horrifically ugly and put on like modern tires and wheels and you can put an LS if you want. But like, at least make it look like what it was back then. At least go with the time period and the tires and the wheels and all, because that'll give you the similar experience. So that's my 2 cents. I hope you guys are enjoying that. I'm going to bounce from here in the next 5 minutes. So if anybody's got some big questions you'd like to ask or things you'd like to talk to, hit me up. But I hope you had some fun today talking about building cool cars from history and how that relates and matters. I wanted to keep it real constructive and positive today, because obviously I've hit some big punches on things out there in the world that suck. And I appreciate you guys listening to it. It's not just about ranting, but it's about bringing out things that should change for the betterment of everybody out there and the future of the automotive enthusiast world and the car culture and history. And that's it. So appreciate you guys. This person writes, do you have any plans to expand Genius Garage to other states? I've got plans, but I don't know when the world will ever let that happen. The pandemic thing is going to trash the economy well enough that I don't think people are going to be very philanthropic on a big league ways. And I have found that wealthy people in the car world don't care about actually being philanthropic. I'm sorry. If we find somebody who is, great, let's do it. But generally speaking, the reason they're wealthy is because they figure out how to make money, and making money doesn't relate into helping people or education. Sorry. So for right now, I'm going to blow it up, do it big, and I'm going to teach and inspire all you guys through this YouTube channel right here. I think it's going to be fantastic. But if there's people out there that have the right connections for industry support, or there's well-heeled people who've been successful in life that want to get behind something that actually matters for the future, then sure, let's open up some new, bigger, and better Genius Garages all over. English wheel you need? Why, yes, Yoda, I do need an English wheel for Genius Garage. We need a big, good one with lots of attachments and such, or even a little one. I am open to things. Just needs to be something we can do good things with. So some people wrote, before I go, he wanted to put a Fiat 131 drivetrain in a Lancia Beta Coupe, but I'm not in a position to do it just yet. That's okay, Ryan. I have thought of projects I've wanted to do since I was a little kid. I remember when I was an early teenager sitting down with books and writing down all the specs of cars that I wanted to one day build. And here I am about to start doing it. And we're going to do it together. So you hang in there and keep thinking, keep being inspired, and keep learning. And one day you'll get to do it too. All right. Let's see what people write. Modern wheels would make it look like the light car rocket. Yeah. And that's cool. But why, and if you want to make your own art thing, that's cool. But if I'm going to do something for past things, I want it to be like that. Somebody writes, are you still in contact with Wild Strawberry Garage? That is the young man named Sam Avery in New York who bought Sluggy, the Corvette. He is crushing it out there. So you guys like Wild Strawberry Garage. As always, I'm going to do 2 shout outs at Wild. I want you guys to follow these 2 people. Yeah, I do still stay in contact with him. What's going on, man? Are you enjoying watching Wild Strawberry Garage and the C3 Corvette rebuild? Gosh darn it. I'm having such a hard time using a keyboard and writing intelligently. Here we go. Wild Strawberry Garage. I know how to spell that. I just screwed up. So I think you guys should follow him. He's just crushing it. And if anybody out there knows that you can help support him or find him any helpful sponsors or parts, I'm sure that'd be great too. Because I think what Sam Avery is doing is he is literally a new champion for young people of the vintage car community world. The sad thing about the vintage car, motorsports, and Concours world is they all look at history as only being something for the past and forgot that the world keeps going and cars keep going. But Sam Avery out there is doing a tremendous job of taking a car that did great things in the past, and he's going to do great things with it in the future. He is now the future. He is now the racer. He is now the builder. He is now the history. So I think that's really great. Go to Wild Strawberry Garage. As always, I am going to write Avalon King here, you guys. Follow their channel and their social media. That's the ceramic coating that sponsors the channel. I really appreciate them being behind me, being able to bring you guys these constructive, entertaining messages. But more importantly, the stuff actually works. I've used it on the Viper. I've used it on the 944. The 944, I haven't even washed in like the last 3 weeks or whatever since I put it on, because everything just goes shoop right off of it. And you just rinse it off and basically everything comes off. So it's really nice. And next week, I'm actually going to ceramic coat my Porsche 928 because it needs that final love. And it's just what I do right now. So it's really great. I know a lot of you guys have used it. So if any of you guys have ceramic coating tires, I don't think you ceramic coat tires though, but you can use it on like vinyl and plastics. It does a really good job. I even put it on my glass, believe it or not. But any of you guys out there watching Sam at Wild Strawberry Garage, or have any of you guys used the Avalon King yet? I'd love to hear it. Tell me before I go. This person writes, Casey, you're doing the Lord's work, brother. I love it. Okay. And you got to finally use it on your dirt bike. You're darn right. I am going to be using the ceramic coating on my dirt bike. The only problem with that is I actually have to clean my dirt bike up well enough to ceramic coating, which is going to be tedious. It's like, so if you get a new dirt bike or your dirt bike's ever clean, ceramic coat it then, because I'm going to have to put a bunch of work into the dirt bike. But yeah, that's coming. And it's going to be, actually, maybe it's a bad idea, because if I go off-roading, people are going to be like, your dirt bike's too new. You must be a squid. You suck at riding. Go through the mud. Your dirt bike's still new, you sissy. You're not. I'm like, I ceramic coated. I swear, dirt doesn't stick to it. I don't know if I should do that. All the off-roading people are going to think I suck at riding if my bike's not dirty. Oh man, that's kind of funny. Yeah, you can ceramic coat your lawnmower. It's actually a pretty good idea. Like if you got a riding one or even whatever. I mean, they're painted, so if you clean it really nice and get all the grease and stuff off of it. If you ceramic coat it, I bet you it's going to stay clean way better. That's a good idea. Ceramic coating your lawnmower is a good idea. This guy uses it on his truck. How is it, Nano Reaper? I hope it's doing well. It's doing well for me. Oh, we got a delivery, April 23rd. Okay, so that's coming up. Good. I look AFI Rover. I look forward to see how that goes. Yeah, motorcycle, ceramic coat that, but they don't like polishing bikes. You don't like polishing bikes, but yeah, well, they are tedious. They take a little bit of time. But ceramic coat it. Trust me on that one. It'd be really good, especially like the wheels and the stuff that really gets dirty. I'm going to do that on my Viper wheels because they're white, because I think I'm fancy or something. Actually, my wife chose the white wheels on the Viper. I mean, I like them, but oh, that reminds me. It's the virtual Radwood car show starting in 2 minutes, you guys. So if you got like a Radwood car, I can't remember how to find that, but like it's on Instagram. So you like tag it, Radwood. We're having a Radwood car show. So I got to do that. Yes, Radwood. All right, you guys. I hope you're inspired. I hope you had fun today. Please go follow Sam Avery at Wild Strawberry Garage with the C3 Corvette build. Please go follow Avalon King. I love the product on my stuff. They're supporting the channel so we can do this together. If you're enjoying it, we're all in this together. And I hope, as always, you are inspired to have fun with cars, whether it's way back when in building something, building your own custom, or Casey's 80s Garage, and you want the modern best classics from the 80s and 90s. And on that note, I got to go enter my cars in the virtual Radwood show. So thank you guys so much for being here. Cheers to everybody in all the countries around the world. I hope one day to meet you. Maybe I'll get to drive through your continent or country and we can meet up then. It'll be a lot of fun. But I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here.